Hey guys, welcome back to Honkai Star Rail. In today's video, over on my 4-star challenge account where we're only using 4-star characters at E0 with free light cones to try and progress through the game, and we are up to MoC10. Now the exceptions on this account is we are using the Fire MC, who's technically a 5-star, but it's a free character, and we are using the 3 free Eidolons for Herder and the 5 free Eidolons for the MC that we all get along the way. So I wanted to give you guys a bit of an update on the account. I'll do basically a look at all my characters, relics, and stats and stuff like that at the end. But essentially, I wanted to just give you a look at like MoC9 and my process for clearing that, because we've only got the one healer, obviously. Now, we are further crippled by the fact that, you know, we don't use Eidolons, we don't use any other light cones besides the free ones, which could definitely help me out. But, you know, we've managed to 3-star every stage up till 7, and only 1-star on 8. I'm going to push that later for a 2-star, and I'll probably push for a 1-star on 9. And if I can do that, that would get me up to 24, which would get me another one, and then I'd only be 120 away from getting max rewards. Now, quickly, I want to touch on 10 because I have not cleared 10 yet. But when we look at what I got, I'm actually optimistic about 10 because I've got Sampo. For 10, I'm going to look to Sampo because it's double wind and double wind over here on 8 when I'm looking at getting stars. So I'm very optimistic that I can build Sampo and he will help my teams. The other thing when I look at 10 is I'm going to start farming break gear, because what I've discovered is if I'm going to try and no healer this stage, these fish bowls are the biggest pain in the ass because they do pretty decent AoE damage and he always summons 2 of them and I can't kill them quick enough. But my plan is to get a break build for my Serval so that she can deal massive break damage, because you can reliably just alt break those things, and if she can insta kill them so I stop taking damage from them, it will be a big help. The other issue with this one is I've been using the Fire MC to get the AoE shields to mitigate a bit of that AoE damage, but this guy, the way he does his attack combo where he hits one unit and then he does his big lockout, I can't taunt that because I can only taunt the first attack, and he just always goes to my DPS. So this one is going to take some retries and some playing around, but we'll see how we go. I'll keep working on that one, but I do see some light at the end of the tunnel for MoC10. But like I said, I wanted to jump in and show you some MoC9 because, dude, I was wrong about Herder. Like, after I did my video, I've been using Herder more practically, and she is still on a massively scuffed build. I've spent the last like 4 days farming for ice gear, haven't got any, so she's still on this really scuffed build with like 51% crit rate, 119 crit damage, 122 speed, and only 2000 attack. She is not a crazy build by any stretch in the imagination, but I just wanted to show you the teams that I used in MoC9, and then we'll go through all my characters and show you their builds and stuff like that. This one here was this, and this. That's an easy clap stage because we've got tank and healer. We're pretty much set. That's like a nice balanced team. It's not going to be a fast clear, but that's my easy clap team. And I like the harder stage being the first one where I'm not using any healers, because then I can keep retrying until I get it and know that I'm going to clear the second one. And that's essentially what I did. This one took me a bunch of retries, but the team we ended up using was this. Now, obviously Pella, probably a better option. I don't know. I'm still quite impressed with what Herder can do at the moment. But in this one, the thing I love about Ting in this team is that we essentially use Ting to buff Herder on AoE situations, and then we switch to Dan. And the cool thing about Herder is especially when you got an enemy below 50%, she's doing like 7k crits on her basic attack because of her passive, and mine's is only at level 5. I could upgrade that further and get more damage out of it. But she's doing really solid single target damage with her basic attack when they're below 50. And so then I shift Ting to focus on Dan, and Dan's doing his massive, 40k crits when he's got slow on the enemy using his ultimate with his talent active. So he can do some pretty decent damage. And then Herder's maintaining okay damage whilst generating skill points, so it sort of synergizes pretty well. I'm turning into a Herder fangirl. Also, check out Dreamy on YouTube. Everyone told me in my last video some really great Herder content. There was a Herder guide on there, and some great showcases. If you want some more Herder love, check out Dreamy on YouTube. I'll leave a link in the description. But I wanted to show you this sort of the sort of process you have to go through in these higher stages when you don't quite have the units to get you through it. So in this one, what I was doing was I was going in here, buffing Herder to the max because we want Herder to kill things essentially. And then we shield March because we need to maintain March's shield on March and hope that that's enough aggro. Now here, is basically I use a basic attack with Dan. If I miss the crit, it doesn't drop this guy below 50 and I retry. That's what I had been doing. If it's a crit, it drops him below 50 and Herder spins, and that means Herder can insta ult. So you get into like, okay, see, we missed it. We didn't drop him below 50. I would insta retry here because this puts Herder in an awkward situation where I have to use an attack before I can ult. Whereas the other way, we ult and then we attack, and it just works way better. But you guys get the gist. We're going to just play through it and show you guys what we can do. So it was an 18k and 7k. Then we go into the ult. We get a 42k with another 10k. And we clap those guys. But if she did it the other way with the ult first, we can actually clear these guys in a 0 cycle. But it is what it is. So this has worked well. This has worked well. That's what we were hoping for. They both attacked March, which is perfect. Then March is going to... You can't see it, but her shield's low and she's got 2 wind shears. So we're going to do that. Next up, Danny Boy. We can probably do skill here. Get him filled up. Her to break. There we go, nicely with the break. We got 12k on that one on the basic. And then we get that out of the way. Okay, so now this guy summon his ads. Perfect. And then from there we can freeze them. And like I said, and then once we get rid of these ads, then that's when we shift to focusing on Dan. Now, unfortunately, Dan outspeeds here, but I'm just going to use Dan's ult here. Just to get more break on the boss, because we really need to freeze this boss. So we just do this to get extra break. Now with Ting, because we still got Benediction on the Herder, we're just going to buff her ult. And this should get us all the way on the ult for Herder, which is perfect. We got 3 frozen targets, and that means Herder can then go ahead and do this and do some massive deeps. So we do 40k and another 10k. Unfortunately, we only got one of them below 50, but that is fine. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is this. We're going to reapply March's shield to herself, keep it topped up. And now we still have enough for a skill here, and this is going to allow us to freeze the boss as well. Hopefully drop the ads with the twirls. Okay, and then we've only got the 2 ads we need to get down once, so the boss loses his heal, and that isn't quite an issue. So what we might look to do is, so the boss is going to get delayed beyond Herder, which is really good for us. So we might just go ahead and try and get this guy. Oh, he's low. Let's go do this. Because he wasn't frozen. There's the res on that guy. So this is the only guy we need to get killed again. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put it on Herder one more time, because we use one more Herder skill. And then this is where we shift to Dan. So let's go ahead and just do a basic on this guy. So he drops below Herder, which is perfect. We get that revenge. I could play it safe and just basic attack this guy, but I'd rather go ahead and freeze. I think we should get the kill on the guy on the right. There we go. Now the boss loses his ability to heal. And unfortunately, Ting Yun with the aggro. Now, unfortunately, we were just short on energy there on the march. Otherwise, we could have gone straight into the freeze. And that's pretty much what we're going to do here. And I'm going to move my head quickly because it's always in the way. You guys can't see. And you can see that's sort of where we're at the moment. And now this becomes the point at which we can start looking to using Dan. Unfortunately, we've got to use a basic here. That's fine because Ting is going to get this and buff him. Unfortunately, the boss doesn't have a slow though. So we're going to just quickly basic again one more time. Let him come out of that freeze. Perfect. We're going to put this on March because we want to get the aggro on March as well, especially. And then we're going to go one more of these into that. Get a good chunk of break in on it. And we just got to deal with this. AoE. Unfortunately, he didn't attack March with that AoE. Once again, this becomes like the whole RNG thing of it. And then, you know, we can... Unfortunately, I've mismanaged my skill points because Dan doesn't have enough skill points to slow the boss. So you can see I've misplayed, but you get the idea of what we do because now we shift it. We miss a crit again. But now we shift to the focus of being Dan doing the damage. And we've got the boss below 50%, which means now as well, we've got to do this. There's no way around that. We're just using basic attacks here and we're doing 7k per basic whilst generating a skill point, which is pretty solid in my opinion. So that's sort of the kind of things we're looking at. Now I should have used that. I should have used her freeze before I used his second attack, but I've been rattled. But this is the basic gist of what we're doing. Now from here, we're going to basic one more time. And then next time we'll use skill and ultimate on Dan to get Dan to the point where he can go ahead and do his thing. We're just going to let him attack that. All right, perfect. So then we'll get a good look at the damage Dan can do. I think we must have missed a crit there, 5-8, not too bad anyway. Oh no, we didn't. We probably just lost our buff. But so now from here, what we can do is this. Into this on Danny Boy. And you can get an idea for the damage we can deal with Danny Boy once we focus on that single target side of life. Now, I'm going to basic attack into ult so we can get the Danny Boy break as well.
The truth of life and death.
Okay, so this is going to be with a break, and his break effect isn't too high, but you can see we get 52k out of him doing that. So that's where it's like an interesting playstyle where you start like using that ting, because now if you look where we're at here, this is where we're going to have to start focusing back on the AoE side of things. Why are you attacking? Oh wait, I didn't. Okay, I needed him to attack thing there. That was my bad. But yeah, we're kind of shafted here, but you guys get the gist. let's go here. Put it on Herder. And unfortunately, this run's just scuffed. We need to get a freeze on that guy, otherwise we're completely boned. But now with Herder, we can go ahead and do this. We can do this. And get some of that damage out. Unfortunately, we're not completely buffed on the Herder, so we're only doing 30k with that. But it's still not horrid. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. Let's go here. Unfortunately, we are going to die to this thing. I'm going to try and slow it, see if that helps at all. Which, let's face it, it ain't. And we're dead. But you can see how this stuff does get tricky. It does take a lot of retries. I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. Let's see if we can get the freeze. But we're kind of boned from here anyway. But that's a basic look at what we've been doing, essentially. I'm going to back out now before I look like a fool. But you can see swapping that damage is sort of the way I played it. And then it becomes a lot of RNG. Using that march to put a shit on herself. Hopefully they don't attack the squishies. If they do, you're going to have to retry. But that's just a basic look at the way I worked through stage 9. Now I want to jump in and show you guys my sort of general builds on my characters. Because like I said, they're not actually that crazy. We'll go through and we'll look at stats. You can see I showed you March earlier. Her relics, kind of average. You can see these are still at +9, +9, +9, and +3. Because I just haven't been able to get one of these with a defense main stat. You know, is what it is. March needs a lot of love. She needs a lot of love. Over here, you know, we're on +12s. We're not, the gear isn't crazy, but it is what it is. We're on a broken set. You know, nothing too crazy. Got 146 speed. Our healing increased is up 38% because we run the chest. And that's pretty much where we're at there. Su Shang is on a complete scuff set. Normally I swap her with one of my DPS units being Dan or Herder if I take her in and I drop one of those two. Then we go to Asta. Asta's pretty average. Still needs some a pretty decent bit of love. Pretty much all I looked at was speed on her, just trying to get her speed up and the max energy regeneration rate. That's pretty much all I was looking at. I just want to keep her speed buff up. Ideally, I want to get a ton of break effect on her as well, so she can be an effective breaker, but the gear's just not quite there. Over here on my QQ, we've got, you know, some maxed out gear. I need a ton more crit damage on her. Unfortunately, it is what it is. She's on her attack boots, so she's at 3k attack. I do have speed boots for her as well, but 65% crit, only 80 crit damage. You know, I got to work on it, but I don't want to farm quantum gear anymore. So that's sort of where we're at on this account. Over here on Savol, she's on a scuffed broken build. I mean, like we need some better relics on her as well. But you know, she does okay. Like I said, she's got decent crit damage, but the crit rate's a little bit low. I definitely want to get her on a break build. Like I said, I'm going to start farming some break gear to get that break effect up. I want that like 125 plus, ideally, for my idea on MoC10. We showed her earlier. Her relic's pretty scuffed. That's her stats. Nothing too crazy. Danny Boy's decent, 61% crit. Obviously, the light cone helps a lot with that crit rating. And then you got to consider the fact that when they're below 50, he does get an extra 14. And if you do have Dan's Eidolons, which is, I think it's number 1, he gets 12 when they're above. So you can essentially just add on a flat 12% crit rate to that if you do have E1 on Dan. And you're pretty much set to go. But once again, I'd love to get his break effect up as well, but I still want to have him on a decent crit rate, crit damage as well. So I'm kind of torn. I want him as like a hybrid type thing between break. But unfortunately, that's all we got at the moment. We did get a couple decent pieces for this. He's on the crit damage chest. He's just got a ton of crit rate, like I said, with that relic, with his passives and stuff like that. So it allowed me to focus in on some crit damage on the chest as well. And then this head was actually pretty average, but we just got everything into crit rate, which is I'm always a fan of. So that's not too bad there. And then the final couple here, Fire MC. Honestly, my Fire MC is decent. 3,300 defense, 137 speed. I'm okay with it. There's nothing crazy. Once again, break effect would be nice, but we don't have it. We're just sort of playing with what we got. Ting is probably my worst geared unit. 2,000 attack, 143 speed, squishy as hell. I need her to be tanky. I've put her on this set more as a troll because I always tell everyone that my Ting has higher aggro than any other character in the game because she always gets attacked no matter what else is going on the field. So I've put her on this one because she does always get attacked just to mitigate some damage. And basically, I just had no more pieces for her. So we just slapped this set on her. It is what it is. We got horrible relics on Ting. She needs a lot of love, but we'll get round to buffing Ting up later on, I guess. But that is every character in my builds. That's where we're at MoC 10. MoC at the moment on this rotation. Like I said, we're at 10. Only 3 rewards off, which I'm pretty happy with that progression. And I think we'll definitely do more as we get Sampo built, as we get better relics in general. And also, then we do have Yukong, who's probably going to help on a bit of this imaginary type weakness stage as well. So we'll have to see. Yukong, I'm just liking that she's going to be supportive, but also good breaking option. So I think she's going to be pretty solid for this sort of account when she does come out. But guys, that is it. That's what we're looking at. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.